What's going on, guys? It's your boy Yoshimitsu Kana coming back at you. That's right, with another JRPG tier list. I know these are kind of redundant. I have a lot of fun making them, and the last time I made one was a couple months ago, so this might be kind of redundant for you guys, but new to me because I was moving for a minute. So I just found a random one, and we're just gonna rank them. Nothing too crazy. But I kind of want to sort of talk about the whole package of it. Like, if the JRPG is that good, it's going to mean that I want to do the stuff after I've beaten the main story. That's kind of how I set up the tier list. And I played at least a good deal of these, I'd say. I hope. So, we'll see how this kind of goes. Yeah. Let me know if you guys like this type of content. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. And then, yeah, let's just kind of get into it. So the first one we have up is Tales of Zestiria. I'll be honest with you, I actually quite like this one. I'm going to go with solid all the way through. That might be a bit of a stretch. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna go decent with a touch of boring because I did get really burnt out with some of the fights, and I remember the accessory system being absolutely confusing for no reason. So that one is decent with a touch of boring. It could be a lot better, but I'd still think it's pretty solid. So the next one is Tales of Vesperia. That is solid all the way through. I think this is probably one of the strongest in the series, one of the strongest. The main characters and the story itself was very fascinating, and I think it's probably one of the better Tales stories. So I'm gonna say solid all the way through. I didn't get the chance to finish it. I think I got like at the last area and my save got corrupted, so unfortunately never got to finish it, but I do intend to replay it one day. So Tales of Symphonia, that's going to be never played. So in all honesty, I've really wanted to play Tales of Symphonia for quite a while now, but the honest problem is that all the ports suck. So until somebody feels like making a good port of Symphonia, I'm just not going to bother. So that's why it's on my never played. So this next one is Tales of Exilia 2. That's going to be another Tales game I have not played. I have played the first one, but not the second one. So I'm super hyped for the remaster that's coming out for the first Exilia. And then the second one that's coming out is going to be awesome. So really looking forward to that. And speak of it, we'll just kind of skip over these two. Tales of Exilia right here. I'm going to say it's solid all the way through. I thought it was one of the more fascinating Tales games. I really wish I could remember it. I don't really remember much. I just remember really enjoying my time with it, and I didn't get a chance to finish it because I was pretty much in school and all that other stuff. So still a very fascinating title. I did love what I was able to play. So we'll just put all of the Trails games up here that I can see for right now because I have not played these yet. However, I have played Trails in the Sky, and that is a definite solid all the way through. Actually, you know, we'll go with decent with a touch of boring. I think this first entry, while it is good, it takes a while for it to get going, in my opinion, and I think that's like its weakest point, the fact that it's the first in the series, and it kind of sets up everything. It unfortunately just, it takes too long to get there, in my opinion, so I'm gonna have to go with decent with a touch of boring. Now, the remaster, however, is actually very fantastic. I haven't bought it yet, but I did play the demo, and honestly the demo would be solid all the way through just because it improves on everything and then some. So Tales of Berseria, this one is going to be fantastic with dabbling with some of the side content. I think Berseria is probably, actually arguably, one of the best Tales games of all time. It's actually one of the few Tales games that I've actually replayed a few times, and I just love the characters, I love the interactions, I love the story. It is still Tales at its core with its combat system, but I still love it. No matter how many times I've replayed it, I still enjoy it. So definitely one of the probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Tales game of all time. We'll put the other Trails of Cold Steel in here. I don't know what this is. Then we're going to put Tales of Eternia down here. I've never even heard of this one. So I'm curious to see what that one's like, because it's not one I'm very familiar with, and I don't hear it talked about very often. So I am curious to kind of see what that's like. So I got one on here, and I can't figure out what it is, so we're just gonna put on never played. Might be some sort of Altiera or Riza game, but I'm not really sure. So, all right, next one we got is Final Fantasy V. I'm gonna say this one's pretty solid all the way through. I thought the story was really interesting and the characters were great. And the story of Cain was actually pretty darn good. So that's gonna be solid all the way through. Persona 5, we'll just kind of call it Royal. I've played this one. It's incredible. You guys already know the reputation of Persona precedes the world itself, so there's not going to be a whole lot of discussion here. However, I do believe that Persona 5 is one of the best JRPGs of all time. So next one we got is Dragon Quest VIII. That's gonna also be a all-timer for me. This is actually one of my personal favorite Dragon Quests. I have a fear that if I go back and play it, it won't be as good, because it's honestly it's living up to a really big hype in my mind. Personally though, I still find it one of the best in terms of story, the character development, the world, the combat, and the characters. There's just so much about Dragon Quest VIII that I think deserves more love. But in my opinion, it's the best Dragon Quest and one of the best JRPGs ever created. So definitely gonna put that up there. And then Dragon Quest XI. This one's really hard. It's not better than Dragon Quest VIII, but it is definitely better than Tales of Berseria, in my opinion. Dragon Quest XI is one of those rare games where I cried playing it, and it had evoked a sort of like emotion out of me, which doesn't really happen very often. So the fact that this was able to do it in such a raw way, it definitely deserves to be up there. And I still, to this day, it's still one of the most beautiful stories, in my opinion. It's a little cookie cutter at times, but I think the moment-to-moment character interactions, it shines more than most games care to try. So Final Fantasy 15, this one might be a little unpopular, but I think this one is actually solid all the way through. Yeah, there's a bit of a jankiness to it, but I still think that people kind of overhate this one a little bit. I think the story is honestly incredible. It's so moving to me. The pacing issues and the juxtaposition with like the anime and the movie and the book that you can read, I definitely did not like that aspect. I like things to be self-contained in the game, and the world just didn't, it did feel a little empty at times, I won't even lie. But the monstrous creatures, the incredible fishing game, I absolutely hated the magic system. It's one of my least favorite magic systems in all of Final Fantasy and games in general. I also didn't really like the leveling up experience, so definitely a lot of drawbacks, but I still think it's a pretty solid title. So next we're gonna go is Final Fantasy 13. This one is actually also very solid all the way through. I was replaying this on stream for a while. I'm probably gonna get back into that. This game got way overhated when it came out, in my opinion. It still looks fantastic. The combat is still enjoyable. It's hard to find another game that I think does a lot of things so well. It just doesn't, it feels like there's a little too much that surrounds it, so it can't break that sort of like stratosphere of storytelling. I think there's a little too much lore dumping. And also the terminology is like so confusing, but overall it's still very solid, and I think it might even be fantastic once I get there. So still a lot of fun. Final Fantasy X, I'm not gonna discuss it. You guys already know it's my favorite game. So Final Fantasy 12, this one is gonna be fantastic with dabbled in side content. Now, in full disclosure, I feel the game is actually a little more bloated than most Final Fantasy games. It's very vast, it's very rich. It's still a whole lot of fun. I just think it's a little too big for my taste, and you kind of get lost in a lot of the things sometimes, but it is still very, very good. And it feels like they took a lot of the bones of 11 and put them in 12. So there's a lot of MMO aspects to it, which kind of, in my opinion, bog it down a little bit. But it's still a very, very good title. Easily one of the best. Star Ocean, to the integrity of time. I am never touching this piece of garbage again. It is one of the worst Star Ocean games I've ever played, and honestly one of the worst JRPGs I've played. It made me weirdly motion sick, and the story sucked, and this sort of like real-time cutscene thing where it was like a concentric circle, not good. Hated it. Never want to play it again. This is Star Ocean, I believe, second story. So the next one is Star Ocean. I don't even remember what this one was called. It was like Edge Maverick or something was the main character. I just remember his main character's name was Edge. This one is gonna be in a could not finish it. I still think it's still fun. Don't get me wrong, but there's just it drags. Ooh boy, does it drag! Like once you get to the sort of apex of the game, you kind of are just on this continuous downward spiral of a plot where it just keeps feeling like it's just trying to keep you engaged, but it's not really as interesting as it makes it out to be. So I just couldn't finish it. I still think it's okay. It's just not great. Eternal Sonata. This is one that is honestly highest on my wanting to play. I've heard amazing things about this game and the unique concept of it with the music aspect. It looks super interesting. I hope one day we get a remaster of it, or a remake, or just a re-release of it, just so we can enjoy it on modern systems. But it looks so fascinating. I do love music quite a bit, so I think this is a very interesting game. Persona 3. I'm just gonna kind of lump the remaster in this, and I'm gonna do this as fantastic with dabbled in side content. The main gripe with Persona 3 is the dungeon, which just feels so monotonous, and it didn't really hold my attention as much as I wanted it to. But outside of that, I felt like everything else, it was sleek, it was stylish, the story was good, the voice acting was good. Everything about it outside of the dungeons was incredible, so it's definitely going to be fantastic. This is Tales of Graces. This is also on my wish list. I know the remaster came out. I've just been a little hesitant just because I know the time sink a Tales game can require, and I have to play them like intermittently, so eventually I will get around to it, but I heard it's one of the better ones. So the next one we have is Kingdom Hearts 3. This one's a little bit tough for me. I'm gonna go solid all the way through, and we'll put it behind 15. Nah, we'll put it behind 13. Kingdom Hearts 3 I think is very divisive. The fact that it took almost, 10 years to come out really hurts it in my opinion, because there was so much hype and build up about it, and it kind of fell flat. There's too much sort of disjointed lore from offshoot games from mobile devices and other things like that. I don't think the lore itself is super complicated. I do think the disjointed way it was told is what really hurts it. So the impact of when I played this game just is kind of lost on me. It was still a good game, but I just think there wasn't as much impact because I wasn't as invested, mainly because I didn't play all of them. I tried to, but really I couldn't do it. So the next one is the first Kingdom Hearts, which I'm gonna want to go we'll have to go fantastic and dabbled in the side world, in the side content. I think Kingdom Hearts was a very special game at the time. There was not really a game out there that was like it. Being able to fight alongside Disney characters was obviously the big draw to me as a kid. I think I was like 9, 8, 10, something like that when it came out, and I still think about the opening, the ending, and the overall just story to this day. I still think it's super impactful, and honestly, it defined a generation, which is not a lot of games can't really do. So it's up there, and I know that like the pacing's a little weird. Some of the side content is like needlessly monotonous, but you could say that for a lot of JRPG side content. So I'm just gonna say it's fantastic. It's one of the best for a reason. So the next one is Birth by Sleep. I'm gonna say this one was solid all the way through. I did not like. I do have a hard time when I play games like this with 3 separate storylines. I don't like the fact that I revisit a world just from a different perspective. I have a hard time retreading water on certain aspects despite it being new, but I do think it was solid and it was foundational to a lot of the lore that Kingdom Hearts set. I just wish that it was followed up by something a little more meatier to kind of really like give us the punch, but it's still a great game. One of the few PSP games I did own back in the day, so it is a fun game. Next we have is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Full disclosure, I have not played it. I do not want to play it. Not that it doesn't interest me. This was when I got sort of burnout from Kingdom Hearts and just kind of figuring out what the hell was going on, and I just was like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. So with Kingdom Hearts 3 and beating that, I don't feel any need to go back and play it. Maybe if they like remastered it and like made it more like a full-fledged one, maybe, but even then it'd be a hard sell for me. So next it's Kingdom Hearts 2. I mean, this is easily one of the greatest JRPGs of all time. Let's just call it what it is. All right. Next we have is Ni no Kuni. This one is going to be fantastic and dabbled in the side content. I think the best part of this game is the charm that the game has. The story, which I think is actually very underrated. It's very moving. It's very Ghibli-esque about a boy kind of grieving the loss of his mother. It's absolutely fantastic when it comes to touching on those subjects. It just does get a little repetitive after the sort of like first act, whatever you want to call it. But other than that, I think it's a fantastic game. I think everybody should play this. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of turn-based games, but personally, I think this is just one of those ones that has so much charm and so much depth to it that I think you'll enjoy it. Well, it's up to discretion whether there's depth or not, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of the better ones out there, so definitely worth checking out. And then Final Fantasy 0. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is gonna be in a could not finish. Maybe it's just because I was expecting more of a Final Fantasy 10 because I was in the headspace I was in when I was expecting. I got overwhelmed by the amount of characters, and I've spoken about this before, probably in another one. The amount of characters that are there, I just didn't like it. It made me anxious. It felt like I couldn't just leave with certain characters and go out and do things because I was worried about the other characters. So not really my thing. Would I revisit it? Maybe. I'm not sure. It's kind of it just doesn't feel like Final Fantasy to me. So we'll see. Maybe down the line or something, but as of right now, just couldn't finish it. All right, next we have Ni no Kuni 2. This one is gonna be solid all the way through. I actually bought this at launch and the special edition with all the cool knickknacks and stuff. And while I think it's definitely not as good as the first one, I still think there's a lot of charm to it. It's just the plot felt way too cookie cutter to me. Now the kingdom building like mini game thing was great. It was like an ode to Dark Cloud with their like sort of town building. So it had some bones of things that I really liked, but there was just, you could kind of tell some of the ideas were half-baked, and the characters, while good, it just, I don't know, there was just not enough for me, honestly, to kind of go back. So it was just solid all the way through. Next we have .hack GU. This is gonna be decent with a touch of boring. Everybody knows you don't play .hack for anything but the story. While the story, I think, is very interesting and there's a lot of twists and turns, everything else outside of it just is not fun. or it's fun, but it just gets so repetitive after a while. So it's just gonna have to be decent with a touch of boring. All right, next we have Chain of Memories. This one is also gonna be a decent with a touch of boring. Look, I know that there's some sort of depth to the card system and like stacking the deck, and I'm sure there's a lot of strategy to it, but personally I played it on the original Game Boy SP when it launched, and I played the remastered, and revisiting it all those years later didn't make it any better. And while I think it was good on the Game Boy, I think that's where it should have stayed on just handhelds, but even now it's still rough. And I just think this is kind of where the story started to like kind of turn on itself a little bit. And while I think it's still good, don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of unfortunate holes in the game. So the next one we have, I think, is Genshin Impact. So I think Genshin Impact, while I think there's a lot of good that came out of it, and maybe it's good with the story and the combat aspect looks fun, I'm just not into it. I tried a few times, it's just not my cup of tea. So you know, it's an all right game. I'm not gonna be able to finish it ever. So this next one, I don't know what it is, so I'm just gonna put never played. I can't tell if it's Fire Emblem or if it's Drakengard or something. I don't know. All right, and then finally we got Ys, Lacrimosa of Dana. This one I'm actually gonna put in fantastic and dabble in side content. I've never played a Ys game, Ys, whatever you want to call it, and this was the best one from what everybody tells me. And even if the translation was terrible, which I heard was really bad, I still loved the hell out of it. I think there's a lot of impact to the story, and a lot of the characters have great motivations for kind of surviving on this island, and you uncover the mystery of it, and you know, you build up the island by doing these extra tasks. So, you know, building up the island and sort of making your little island fortress more habitable to be able to survive, I think that was probably one of my favorite parts. I am a sucker for the Dark Cloud thing of building up a town and like creating a sort of village with buildings and stuff. So that is honestly a guilty pleasure of mine, and the way Ys did it was actually really creative and fun. So this is my list. Like I said, these are just a bunch of JRPGs. There was no real rhyme or reason to it. I do have a lot of never played, unfortunately. Most of it are just really long running series where I've just dabbled in certain things. Like I can't play the next Trails in the Sky without playing the first Trails of Cold Steel without playing Trails in the Sky. So obviously there's some catching up to do. But overall, I think I'm pretty happy with this list. What do you guys think? What would you move? Where would you put it? Did I get something wrong, or do you have a different opinion of mine about one of these games? Outside of that, guys, I really appreciate you watching. I hope you guys like this type of content. Please let me know if you want more, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. The most important thing to me, though, is that you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.